Let me tell you something today. You've been trying, haven't you? You've been doing everything you can, but somehow things don't seem to be working the way you want them to. You've been chasing, but what if I told you there's a secret, something so powerful, so transformational that can turn the tables? What if I told you that this secret will not only change the way someone sees you, but will make them chase you desperately? Now, I know what you're thinking. It's too good to be true. But trust me, this isn't just some feel-good, wishful thinking. This is a principle that has been proven time and time again, and it's about to unlock something you never even imagined. So lean in, because this could change everything for you. This isn't about playing games. It's about power. It's about influence. It's about understanding something so deep that it flips the script on how people respond to you. Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you could be the key to unlocking a whole new level of connection in your life. Let's dive into the secret that will make your specific person chase you desperately. Feel free to adjust the tone depending on how you want to personalize it further. Self-value is the foundation of every meaningful connection we make with others, and it's the secret to attracting the right kind of energy into our lives. So many people spend their time and energy seeking approval, searching for validation from the people around them. They give their power away by constantly looking to others for reassurance and acknowledgement. But when you truly understand your worth, when you have a deep-rooted sense of self-value, something shifts. You stop chasing. You stop doubting. You stop scrambling for attention and approval, because you already know that you are enough just as you are. Let's break this down for a moment. How do we typically measure our value? Most people gauge their worth based on external factors. How they look, what they do, what they have, or what others think of them. But the problem with that is that these things are temporary and fragile. Looks fade, possessions lose their luster, and the opinions of others are constantly changing. If we tie our sense of value to these external markers, we are constantly setting ourselves up for disappointment, because the world around us is in constant flux. But true self-value is not about any of that. It's not about how many likes you get on a post, how much money is in your bank account, or how many people tell you you're amazing. It's about understanding that you are innately worthy simply because you exist. You are worthy because you are human, because you have a purpose, and because you bring something to the world that no one else can. When you come to this realization, you stop seeking validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop giving away your power. And here's the thing, when you stop chasing, that's when people start chasing you. They can feel your confidence, your peace, and your self-assurance. People are attracted to others who radiate inner strength. They want to be around people who are secure in themselves, because those individuals are not only emotionally stable, but also emotionally independent. They don't need anyone to complete them. They are already complete. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that when you are completely content with yourself, people start to show up in your life? Whether as friends, family, or romantic interests, it's not about trying to make them like you or impress them. It's about being in alignment with your authentic self and letting that energy attract the right people. The key is to stop trying to prove your worth. You don't have to sell yourself to anyone. When you understand your own value, you simply are, and that's more than enough. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate self-value is through self-care. Self-care isn't just about taking a bubble bath or getting a massage, though those things can be nice. It's about prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and protecting your peace. It's about investing time and energy into activities that nourish your soul and contribute to your personal growth. When you engage in practices that honor yourself, you communicate to the universe and to others that you value who you are. Self-value also comes from understanding and accepting your own flaws. None of us are perfect, and that's okay. In fact, it's through our imperfections that we find true strength. When you accept your imperfections, When you stop beating yourself up for not measuring up to some impossible standard, you stop feeling the need to hide or compensate for your perceived shortcomings. You begin to show up in the world with a sense of wholeness, fully accepting yourself as you are. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. Another way to cultivate self-value is by setting high standards for how others treat you. When you value yourself, you don't tolerate disrespect or mistreatment from others. You demand respect, and you won't settle for anything less. The way you allow others to treat you directly reflects the way you treat yourself. If you consistently allow people to take advantage of you, belittle you, or dismiss you, you are sending the message that you don't believe you're worthy of anything better. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, when you refuse to accept less than you deserve, people begin to take notice. They begin to understand that you are not someone to be taken for granted. Self-value also plays a crucial role in how you interact with others. When you value yourself, you show up as your authentic self in relationships. You don't need to be someone you're not to fit in or gain approval. You understand that your unique qualities are what make you special, and you embrace those qualities unapologetically. You are not afraid to speak your truth, to express your needs, or to stand up for what you believe in. People are drawn to authenticity because it's rare. They want to be around people who are real, who aren't afraid to be vulnerable and imperfect. When you embody authenticity, you create deeper, more meaningful connections with others. And here's where it gets interesting. When you start to understand and embody your self-value, something extraordinary happens. You begin to attract people who are aligned with you. You attract people who recognize your worth and appreciate you for who you truly are. You stop wasting energy on trying to win over people who don't value you because you don't need to chase them. Instead, you draw in the people who see your light, your strength, and your beauty, and who want to be a part of your journey. This principle applies to romantic relationships as well. Too often, people enter relationships from a place of neediness or insecurity. They feel incomplete without another person, and they look for someone to fill the gap in their lives. But this mindset only leads to unhealthy dynamics. Because when you enter a relationship from a place of lack, you end up relying too heavily on the other person for your happiness. This can lead to dependency, frustration, and resentment. On the other hand, when you enter a relationship from a place of wholeness and self-value, you bring your best self to the table. You don't need the other person to complete you because you are already complete. You come together to complement each other, to build something beautiful together, but you don't rely on the other person to make you feel whole. When you understand your self-worth, you create a life that is built on love, respect, and mutual growth. You don't have to settle for toxic relationships, for people who drain your energy or treat you poorly. You set the standard for what you will accept and what you won't. And as you do this, you begin to attract those who share your values, who appreciate your uniqueness, and who want to be a part of your journey. One of the most important things to remember is that self-value is not about arrogance or pride. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about recognizing your inherent worth and honoring it. It's about understanding that you deserve love, respect, and happiness, not because of anything you've done, but simply because you are worthy of those things as a human being. When you embody this belief, you naturally attract the right kind of people into your life, people who will love and appreciate you for who you truly are. And here's the beauty of it all. When you truly value yourself, you stop chasing after love, approval, and validation. You no longer feel desperate or empty inside. Instead, you radiate confidence, peace, and joy. And that energy is magnetic. People are drawn to it. They want to be around you. They want to be a part of your life. And they want to share in the positive energy you radiate. When you stop chasing, you become the one who is chased. And that is the power of self-value. So if you want to attract the right people into your life, whether it's friends, family, or romantic partners, start by focusing on your own sense of self-worth. Recognize that you are already enough. Embrace your uniqueness, accept your flaws, and love yourself deeply. When you do that, you will naturally attract the people who see your worth, who appreciate you for who you are, and who will cherish and respect you. And that is the secret to making the right people chase you, not because you need them to, but because they can't help but be drawn to your authentic energy. There's a strange power in detachment. It's almost paradoxical. The more we let go, the more we attract. When you stop clinging, when you stop needing validation, approval, or even attention, you become a magnet for those very things you once chased. It's not about pushing people away or playing hard to get. It's about mastering the art of emotional independence. This is what I like to call the power of confidence in detachment. In today's world, it seems like we are constantly seeking something outside of ourselves to validate our worth. We seek approval from our peers, from society, from the people we admire, or even from the people we don't even know. We post things on social media hoping for likes, comments, and affirmation. We dress a certain way, talk a certain way, and act a certain way, all in an effort to fit in and be noticed. But deep down, we know that none of these things ever quite feel like enough. It's like we're constantly searching for something that's always just out of reach. And the more we search, the more we crave. But the truth is, when we are desperate for something, we usually push it away. Imagine this for a moment. Have you ever seen someone who is overly desperate for attention or affection? There's something about them that feels off, almost as if their desperation is radiating from them. It's uncomfortable. People sense it and tend to retreat from that energy. Why? Because desperation is rooted in fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of rejection, fear of loneliness. When we operate from a place of fear, we unintentionally push others away because we are so focused on trying to prove ourselves that we can't relax and just be. Now think about the opposite. Have you ever been around someone who is confident, calm, and secure in themselves without needing the world to constantly validate them? They're the type of person who doesn't worry about who's watching or whether or not they're liked. They simply are. And yet for some reason, people gravitate toward them. They don't have to try to be noticed. They don't have to chase or compete for attention. It's as though their presence alone is enough. This is the power of emotional detachment. It's the ability to be at peace with yourself, regardless of what others think, say, or do. It's the freedom that comes from not needing external validation to feel good about who you are. When you detach emotionally from the outcomes, when you stop tying your sense of worth to how others treat you, something remarkable happens. You begin to attract the right people and experiences into your life. Why? Because you're no longer desperate. You no longer carry that needy, anxious energy that repels what you want. Instead, you carry a calm, confident energy that draws others toward you. But detachment doesn't mean disengagement. It doesn't mean being emotionally distant or shutting people out. It doesn't mean that you stop caring or that you stop wanting connection. It means you care without attachment. You desire affection and intimacy, but you don't need it to feel complete. It means that you can be fully present in your relationships, giving love and attention, but without the underlying anxiety of whether or not you're getting that love and attention in return. When we are attached to outcomes, we are constantly in a state of anxiety. We're constantly checking our phones for messages, worrying about what someone said, or wondering why they didn't respond the way we hoped. That energy of needing something, whether it's affection, attention, approval, or validation, creates an internal tension. People can sense this tension, and it makes them uncomfortable. It's the energy of someone who is trying too hard, and when you try too hard, you often end up working against yourself. But when you detach from the outcome, when you let go of that constant need to control or manipulate the situation, everything changes. You stop obsessing over whether or not you're getting what you want. You stop worrying about how others are reacting to you. You simply are. And that's when people start to take notice. They see that you're at peace with yourself, that you're not desperate for anything from them. And that sense of emotional independence is incredibly attractive. There's a certain magnetism that comes with emotional freedom. People are drawn to those who don't feel the need to prove themselves. When you don't need anything from someone, they feel less pressure. There's less expectation, less anxiety in the air, and that makes your presence comfortable to be around. When you stop seeking validation, you become a reflection of calm, self-assured confidence. This is not about arrogance or indifference. It's about recognizing that your value doesn't come from someone else's approval or affection. One of the most powerful ways to practice this kind of emotional detachment is through cultivating. You can find contentment in solitude. You can be comfortable in your own company. This doesn't mean you shut people out or withdraw from relationships. It means that you no longer rely on others to define your worth or happiness. You can engage with others from a place of wholeness without needing them to fill a void. And when you operate from that place of wholeness, people feel it. They're drawn to your calm, secure energy. Another important aspect of detachment is the ability to let go of expectations. Expectations can be a huge source of stress and disappointment. When we expect something from someone, whether it's love, attention, or respect, we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. We give up control over our own happiness and place it in someone else's hands. But when you let go of those expectations, you free yourself from the constant cycle of disappointment and frustration. You learn to appreciate what comes without needing it to be a certain way. You stop chasing and start allowing. This principle is especially important in romantic relationships. So many people enter relationships with unrealistic expectations or a desperate need for the other person to fulfill them. They look to their partner to make them feel whole, to complete them. But the truth is, no one can complete you. You have to be complete in yourself first. When you enter a relationship from a place of emotional detachment, you're not depending on your partner for your sense of self-worth. You can love them, be vulnerable with them, and care for them deeply, but you are not needing them. You're not clinging to them in fear of losing them. You are with them because you want to be, not because you need to be. When you let go of your attachment to outcomes, you begin to experience life in a completely different way. You start to attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that are aligned with your true self. People are drawn to you because you are no longer desperate for their approval or affection. You are emotionally free, and that freedom is magnetic. When you stop chasing, you give others the space to come toward you. And when they do so because they genuinely want to, not because you pressured them or needed them to. This concept of emotional detachment also applies to how we approach our goals and desires. When we are overly attached to the outcome of a goal, whether it's career success, a particular achievement, or a personal desire, we often find ourselves frustrated when things don't unfold as we hoped. We may feel like we're not getting what we deserve, and that frustration can prevent us from moving forward. But when we practice detachment, we allow things to unfold naturally. We work toward our goals with passion and purpose, but we don't tie our happiness to the outcome. We trust the process, knowing that what's meant for us will come at the right time in the right way. Emotional detachment is not about being cold or indifferent to others. It's about finding peace within yourself. It's about recognizing that your happiness and worth do not depend on anyone or anything outside of you. It's about becoming emotionally independent. And when you do, you'll find that the world starts to come to you. You stop chasing and others begin to chase you. Because there's nothing more attractive than someone who is at peace with themselves, who doesn't need anything or anyone to feel whole. That kind of emotional freedom is what makes people want to be around you. It's what makes people want to stay. Authenticity is often seen as one of the most valuable traits a person can possess. It's the core of who we are, the unfiltered truth of our thoughts, actions, and emotions. In a world that constantly pushes us to conform, to blend in, to fit into molds, being authentic can be one of the hardest things to do. But what if I told you that your authenticity is the key to attracting the people who will value you the most? What if the very thing that makes you stand out, the parts of you that you might have been hiding or trying to change, are the exact things that will draw others to you in ways you never imagined? The truth is, there's something magnetic about a person who isn't afraid to be themselves. When we embrace our authenticity, we stop trying to mold ourselves into someone we think others will accept or admire. Instead, we let go of the pressure to perform and just show up as we are. It's the act of not pretending to be someone else, not tailoring our personality to fit in with others' expectations, and not hiding behind a facade. Authenticity is about owning who you are, flaws and all, and presenting that version of yourself to the world with confidence. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever been around someone who was genuinely themselves, unapologetically true to who they are, regardless of how others might perceive them? There's something incredibly refreshing about that kind of energy. People like this don't try to impress. They don't need to boast about their accomplishments or play games to get attention. They simply exist in their fullness, and because of that, people are naturally drawn to them. You're not worried about how they'll react or whether they'll approve of you. Instead, you're just comfortable being in their presence because their energy is genuine and real. On the flip side, how do you feel when you're around someone who is constantly putting on an act, trying to be someone they're not? Maybe they're overly polished, overly rehearsed, or too eager to fit into a particular mold. It can be exhausting. You can sense the inauthenticity, even if you can't quite put your finger on what's wrong. The truth is, people can feel when you're not being genuine, whether it's through body language, tone, or subtle inconsistencies in your words. The lack of authenticity creates an invisible barrier between you and others. No matter how hard you try to be liked, when you're not being true to yourself, you're ultimately pushing people away. When we embrace authenticity, we create a space where people can be comfortable around us. We offer them the same freedom we've given ourselves. The freedom to be real, to be imperfect, to be human. The beauty of authenticity is that it allows others to feel safe in expressing their true selves too. When you let go of the masks and just be who you are, you invite others to do the same. You create an environment where there's no need to pretend, where there's no pressure to impress, and where the connections that are made are based on genuine compatibility, not on how well you can maintain a facade. But authenticity is not always easy. It requires courage. It requires vulnerability. To be authentic, we must first accept ourselves, flaws and all. And sometimes that's the hardest part. We live in a world that constantly tells us that we're not good enough, that we need to be more this or less that. Society, social media, even well-meaning friends and family often send the message that we need to change or improve something about ourselves to be loved, accepted, or successful. This pressure can make us feel like who we are right now isn't enough. But the truth is, your authenticity is your strength. It's what makes you unique, and it's what will attract the right people into your life. When you are authentic, you stop trying to fit into boxes. You stop comparing yourself to others and worrying about where you stand. Instead, you embrace your individuality, recognizing that your quirks, your imperfections, and your uniqueness are what set you apart. Authenticity is about letting go of the constant need to conform and allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are. It's about recognizing that you don't need anyone's approval to be valuable. You are enough as you are. And when you embrace that truth, you stop seeking validation from others. You become grounded in your sense of self, and that confidence radiates outward, drawing people in. One of the most powerful ways authenticity impacts our relationships is by creating trust. When you are authentic, you show up honestly and transparently without hidden agendas or manipulative tactics. People trust you because they know that what they see is what they get. You're not pretending to be someone you're not to win them over. You're not saying one thing and doing another. You're consistent, and consistency builds trust. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, or professional. When you show up authentically, people feel safe around you. They know that they can count on you to be real with them, to speak honestly, and to act in ways that align with your true values. Authenticity also allows us to connect on a deeper level. In a world where surface level interactions have become the norm, true connections are rare. Most people are too busy hiding parts of themselves to let others in. But when you're authentic, you allow others to see you for who you truly are. No pretenses, no masks, just the real you. And this vulnerability invites connection. When we share our true selves with others, we create space for them to do the same. This exchange of authenticity fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships where both parties feel valued, understood, and accepted. There's also a sense of freedom that comes with being authentic. It's liberating to know that you no longer have to keep up appearances or live up to someone else's expectation. The energy that goes into maintaining a facade can be exhausting. You're constantly editing yourself, worrying about what people think and second-guessing your every move. But when you embrace authenticity, you free yourself from this cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. You allow yourself to exist without the need to constantly perform. This freedom not only feels good, but it also attracts others who value and appreciate your authenticity. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin, who aren't afraid to show up as they are, flaws and all. It's also important to recognize that authenticity doesn't mean being perfect. Many people have the misconception that to be authentic, you need to have it all together, to always be confident, to always say the right thing, and to never make mistakes. But authenticity is not about perfection. It's about embracing the real you. Imperfections. And when you're authentic, you allow yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to learn and to grow. You don't hide behind a facade of perfection because you understand that growth is a process and imperfection is part of being human. This kind of vulnerability is what makes authenticity so powerful. It allows others to relate to you on a deeper level because they see that you're just as human as they are. Finally, authenticity is a powerful tool for self-empowerment. When you stop pretending to be someone you're not, you stop giving away your power. You stop looking to others for approval and start trusting yourself. You make decisions based on what feels right for you, not based on what you think others expect from you. This sense of personal empowerment is magnetic. People are drawn to those who trust themselves, who stand firm in their values, and who make decisions based on their own inner compass. Being authentic isn't always easy, and it's not always comfortable. There will be moments when you feel exposed, vulnerable, or judged. But the rewards of authenticity far outweigh the discomfort. When you embrace who you truly are, you create a space for others to do the same. You attract the people who will value you for your uniqueness, who will love you for who you are, and who will accept you without conditions. And in the process, you'll build deeper, more meaningful relationships and create a life that is truly aligned with your true self. The secret to attracting the right people into your life isn't about changing who you are to fit in. It's about embracing the real you unapologetically and wholeheartedly.